The Story Goes. I'm Brad Patton. Today I'm stoked to share my conversation with Drought guitarist RJ Rabe. The debut Drought LP, Souvenir, is out this Friday on Iodine Recordings. Drought had one of my favorite EPs of 2024, and the new record builds off that and expands the band's sound in further directions, and it was a real delight getting to talk to RJ about his background and the band. RJ talks about being drawn to bass as an instrument, his initial hesitation in joining Drought, the emotional maturity of the band and how that served as a guide for Souvenir, his cancer diagnosis and journey, and more. This is a really thoughtful chat, and I hope everyone listening enjoys it. Speaking of listening, thanks so much for listening to this episode of As the Story Goes. If this is your first time checking out the podcast, welcome. I hope you enjoy it. You can find links in our show notes to our mailing list, our Discord server, and our Patreon page, where you can help the show out financially and get early access to every episode. And if you aren't a subscriber but like what you're hearing, please subscribe to the podcast on your podcast platform of choice. Enjoy today's conversation with RJ from Drought. I had to reset something on my computer. Like I went on vacation and then it came back and reset. And it was like a week where it was recording off my computer mic and not this mic.
Exactly.
And so like I didn't notice because like all those are recorded for the future. And then I went to edit and I was like, what the fuck? Why do I sound so bad?
Yeah, this is exactly that. Like I think my like monitor microphone tries to take over, and then like my laptop, and then I probably have like a musical mic plugged in somewhere.
Yeah. It's good times. So how are you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm stoked to talk to you. I tried to like dive deeper than just like RJ from Drought. So are you originally from the Bay Area, the Oakland area? Is that...
I'm not.
No.
I'm originally from Wisconsin.
Okay.
And I moved to the Bay Area by way of New York.
Okay.
But I've been here for like 11 years. So
okay. All right. That's cool. That's a lot of travel. What made you want to leave Wisconsin outside of I don't know anything about Wisconsin, so I won't talk shit.
I mean, Wisconsin can be pretty amazing. I'm going back in like 2 weeks to visit family. My girlfriend and I, and this little dog you see back here.
Yes.
And it's always a much needed reprieve. I was in a town or like a city called Milwaukee. Like nobody's ever heard of it. I was in Milwaukee, and I was just feeling a little stagnant. I'm from a much smaller town, much smaller town, and I've been in Milwaukee for several years. I moved down there with a band I was in at the time, and just kind of felt like I had met the people I was going to meet and had done the things I was going to do, and it started to feel a little Groundhog's Day.
Yeah.
And I am not chill. I don't do well with, I don't know, growth, I guess you could kind of call it, but I don't do well with just like doing the same thing over and over. Like I'm pretty antsy. And I don't like being bored, and just like was hungry for something different. I had plans to leave to pursue like a trade kind of program in the Pacific Northwest, and I had an opportunity to move to New York that kind of came up out of nowhere, and it was going to be for like 3 months. It was going to be for a summer, and I was like, yeah, why not? I'll give it a try. And then I just ended up staying.
Nice.
Which was like complicated in a lot of ways. But yeah, like moving with a backpack and then being like, oh, I live here now. what do I do with all my stuff?
Yeah. It's a much different life when you're younger and have very little responsibilities. You could just do whatever you want. Right?
Yeah. I mean, it gets exceedingly more difficult with age, right? Like I guess you can own a bunch of crap when you're younger, but I've for the longest time been like somewhat allergic to the idea of like having too much stuff because I like the idea of being able to move and be malleable and not have all this crap behind me, like own me.
Yeah.
But yeah, where are you located?
Just north of DC.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Lifelong East Coaster. So
I love it there.
I tried to leave, but I could not.
Oh yeah. I mean, I understand. I mean, I think I still carry very much the like East Coast disposition than I do being out here. Like for the longest time when I like first got here, I was like, where is the urgency, people? Where, like, what? Like, you guys need to get fired up. Like, why is everything taking so long? And still, like, I kind of have the same issue.
Right. Yeah. My wife is from the South, and so there's like the Southern like niceness, and I'm just like, none of you like each other. Just fucking say it. Like, move on, right?
Yeah, right. Like people will say things like that about how like people on the East Coast like aren't kind, and I actually find that to be incredibly untrue.
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, specifically to like New York City, I think people are incredibly outgoing. Like we're all like, everybody recognizes that like this shit is hard.
Yeah.
And that like most of us aren't from New York and that we're all trying to figure it out. And like you can recognize when somebody's like lost or doesn't, needs a hand. And so like I think there's an eagerness to help. And I think like specific to the West Coast, I think there's like a lot more kind of like people pretending to be nice. And like I don't need that.
Yeah.
It's not help. Like it's more work for you to try to be nice and not be nice. And it's like, doesn't feel good on this end, So it's like, let's just, we can be like kind still. Yeah. But anyway, yeah.
What got you into music?
I mean, it kind of depends on like how far back you want to go. I think as a little kid, my dad always had music on. We had like the giant stereo system, that was like bigger than most pieces of furniture. And like that looked like at this point to a lot of folks, that looks like some sort of like NASA level piece of like technology. There's so many knobs and switches, and I think I was like really intrigued by that. And then, I remember he had like a 5-disc CD player in like the trunk of one of his cars, and there was just always music on. And then, fast forward later, I think there was a group of neighborhood kids when I was like fairly young that all played music, and was like, this is how that happens. Like, like you hear this music coming out of like your stereo or the car radio, but like to see people doing it, I was like, whoa, this is wild. And I was like, this is going to be a bizarre analogy, but like as a kid, I was super into like Voltron, like the precursor to Power Rangers, and the idea that like all these people kind of like came together and like owned this like piece of this like bigger like robot puzzle creature thing. I was just like, whoa, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to talk about the first time you like pick up a guitar and you like learn to play like a Green Day song or a Nirvana song, and you're like, I can play the song that's on the fucking radio, and that's phenomenal. And then you see a show and you're like, oh, those are my friends doing it. I could totally do this. Like,
yeah, for sure. I mean, like I didn't get to that place like until much, much later. I actually had like a false start of like, I wanted to play bass. Like that was for whatever reason, like maybe it's because like the kid in my neighborhood that was the coolest that was in that band played bass. But I was like, I think it just like was also the most like tangible feeling and sounding thing to me. But everybody at like the music store in my little town was like, no, you gotta, or I don't know what outside influence it was, but it's like, no, you gotta start with guitar. And I remember getting a guitar and having guitar lessons, and I was just like, I don't know, I don't understand this thing at all. Like this is chaos. And like it would have been much better actually had the guitar teacher like been like, here's how you play like a song you like. Because it could have like cemented it in something that like made sense, but I just like they just went straight into like C major. And I was like, this has no practical application. I don't understand this at all. Like I was too young. So I gave up pretty quick, and it wasn't until I was like 16 and there were like my friends kind of collectively deciding like, oh, we're all going to play instruments, you know, like this one friend was like, I'm going to play bass, and this other friend was like, I'm going to play guitar. And I was like, yes, I'm trying again, and I'm doing it my way. I'm playing bass. And I just like became enraptured by it. Like that's all I did.
That's awesome. We need more like true bass players. So many bass players are just like the leftover guitar player.
I know. Actually, it's funny you say that because like almost everybody in the band historically like maybe started out on bass. Like our singer Vicky, the other guitarist Eric, myself, obviously. Like actually, I think like I think maybe the bass player started playing guitar actually, which is like kind of to your point, but I still think like a bass player in so many ways. I think, yeah, it's a really kind of, I mean, there's jokes about this kind of thing, but I think it's like really an under-respected instrument until like you kind of mature a little bit. In some ways, do you really understand how like this isn't just like a thickening agent? Like there's a lot of like responsibility here.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like I still like play bass all the time. I love it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I started playing bass because I was playing drums with this singer. She was like, "Well, you play guitar. Can you play bass?" And I was like, sure, I could figure it out. And then,
yeah.
But yeah, you just learn to love playing it because it's a different instrument. It's not just like.
Yeah, like you can play it like, you know, like a simple guitar.
Yeah.
In fact, like a lot of people do, but I think that like rabbit hole is as deep as you want.
Yeah.
Or like that, you know, you can go as deep as you want with that one. Like there's this like, you know, I think for a lot of young kids, like, or young people like starting out playing music and they want to join their friend's band, there's like, well, I'll play bass, you know?
Yeah.
And like, that's kind of, I think, as far as some people ever just take it, where like, I'm just going to do what the guitar is doing. But it can be so much more fun and interesting and rewarding.
Let's shift to Drought. The band is already getting going when you joined. How'd you end up joining the band, and kind of what was your interest in the band?
Yeah, I think like Eric and Viggy and Ray had been playing for a few months together, and had our friend Chris, Eric's neighbor, was playing bass. that story is pretty funny. Eric, like our singer Viggy and Eric and Ray all kind of met because Eric wanted to start a band. And this was maybe still like in the heart of COVID, where you weren't really supposed to be by people or interacting with like people outside your bubble. And Eric, I think Eric decided he didn't like that rule anymore and put out a Craigslist ad to find folks. And Viggy had a saved search for one of the bands mentioned in Eric's Craigslist post from like 10 years ago.
Nice.
And those three kind of connected and just like kind of started jamming out at a friend's rehearsal space. And I started playing, like I stepped away from music for a solid like 10 to 15 years. And over COVID, I was like, I need to get off of my cell phone. I need to spend less time reading the news and like focusing on the negativity around me and do something a little bit more, do something that required more of me. So I started playing guitar, and a few months had gone by, and like I still had no interest of really like playing with others. But slowly but surely, like, you know, that idea like creeps into your head, and it was just happenstance. I ran into Eric at a mutual friends get together. Actually, I didn't even run into Eric. I ran into his partner, and I'm not like was hanging out with his partner the whole time, and my girlfriend was hanging out with his partner. And then a few weeks later, I saw them at a show. And again, like my partner and him were talking, and I was like busy off talking to my friends. And he hit me up on Instagram. He's like, "Hey, I heard you're kind of like looking for a project. Do you have any interest?" And I hadn't like totally figured out what I wanted to do musically. I think I was more interested in pursuing something in the like Converge, Cave-In, like Bane style of like chaotic space rock hardcore thing. And I went to their rehearsal space to kind of check things out. I think I brought a guitar, but I was so like green at playing guitar that I was like, listen, it's not going to be in anybody's best interest for me to like plug this thing in. Like, I'm not good enough to just like start playing along with you guys. So like, I'm just going to listen, and just like took it in. And I was like, you know, I don't really know if I get what's going on here. This was just Eric, our friend Chris that was playing bass, and our drummer Ray. And I couldn't totally place musically what I was hearing. Like I didn't really come from that world. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until later that I heard a recording with Viggy singing, and I was like, oh, okay, I like kind of know what to do with this now. You know, like Eric's guitar playing is like out of context is like often pretty like folky. Like we joke that like all of our songs are just like folk songs you can play on acoustic guitar. But hearing Viggy's vocals and like the like intensity and drive, and it paired with this like more melodic kind of guitar playing, mm-hmm. I was like, oh, this is interesting. I think it's worth exploring this. Yeah. If for no other reason than to just kind of like get back into playing music. And then like I just got hooked. Like I like found my way in very easily. And you know, from there, like we formed, like we in kind of like short order put together our EP.
Yeah. Yeah. First hearing that EP, like I was instantly blown away, because some of it reminds me of like that early Discord stuff, that cross from hardcore to emo, whatever. But it's just like reminds me of Thursday or like Blood Brothers, and it's like those bands that I love that kind of bridge that gap between hardcore and emo for me. And it's just like, yeah, Viggy's vocals work so well. It's such this great intersection between genres.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate hearing you say that, because so many of those bands are instrumental in kind of like shaping, my adolescence and maybe yours as well. Like,
yeah.
And it's those bands that we kind of find in those times that like we don't even realize are like kind of like defining defining us or like our ear. And so when you sit down to kind of make things, there are these sounds that have maybe, in addition, like other kind of music you've kind of like digested throughout the years, like there are these familiar sounds like kind of in your head. So to hear those comparisons are always like, it's really touching, but also like it's still surprising because you're like, oh,
yeah,
that like came out.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. At what point in this early process of the band are you diagnosed with cancer?
Oh, geez. Like early.
Yeah.
I'd like maybe 6 months.
Oh, geez.
In. The guys in the band are like, it's no secret that we're like a very like soft, emotionally intelligent, like, so yeah, we're just like pretty in touch with our feelings, as it were, and being able to talk about where we're coming from or how we're feeling. So in like short time, I became really, really close with the guys. And Eric is like, I came home from like a very kind of unexpected diagnosis. I went in kind of to my doctor's appointment, like expecting to hear like, oh, you're fine. Like you need to like modify like some of your lifestyle choices. And kind of just like very bluntly was told by like somebody walking down the hall, like they like shoulder tapped a doctor because they couldn't find mine. And it's like, hey, you need to tell this guy he has cancer. So there's like, hey, you got cancer. Do you have any questions? And I was like, all of them.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, okay, cool. Like you should probably try to find a way to talk to your doctor next week. And I was like, what? And they're like,
not soon enough.
Yeah. And they're like, well, it's 5 p.m. and everybody's gone home. So like, talk to you soon. And I was like, wow. Okie dokie. I guess I'll Google cancer stuff. And yeah, Eric, I think, was like the second person I told after my partner. Yeah. And the band was in many ways like a light through all of that. I quickly got in for surgery, and they removed the tumor. I had testicular cancer. Dudes, go get your business checked out. I was lucky, and I caught this very, very early. And I'm able to talk about it because I'm persistent, and got like after 3 separate visits, finally got somebody to pay a bit more attention and was screened. But yeah, like the band was a light throughout all of this. I had surgery, and my recovery process and healing was, not fast. And I think like 6 months after surgery, I went in for chemo. The kind of cancer I had, they removed the tumor, but there was a chance that it was going to come back. 50% chance that it was going to come back at some point in my life. And with chemo, like preemptive chemo, it reduced that to like 3 to 5% or something.
Oh, that's awesome.
But like the trade-off is, if you don't need it, like chemo is still bad for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if I needed it later in life, I was going to need like way more rounds of chemotherapy, and it was going to be potentially damaging to my cardiovascular system and my hearing. And yeah, like chemo was really hard, and the band was a thing that at times I needed to put on hold, and the guys needed to put on hold. And I know that was hard at times for them, but they were by my side. They were, my best friends through the whole thing. And I had this thing that I could work on, and like devote like the little energy and attention I had on, and like create something.
Yeah.
And that was really important.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of the emotional intelligence of the band, this new record, it seems like this was really a way to process everybody's various, your cancer diagnosis, ailing parents and deaths, and just the stress of life. Like, is that just kind of how you have always operated together, or was there a conversation about what types of things you wanted to share?
I don't think we made a decision to like, this is the kind of stuff we want to talk about. We're like, air quotes, not a political band, but we are, like we're not an emo band, but we are, I think a lot of us are drawn to this music because of the energy and the intensity of it, but that you can only be angry for so long, right? Like that might be like maybe the like an initial reaction.
Yeah.
But that's pretty one-dimensional, and I think the ways like myself and the guys all connect with each other is that intersection of all the like, well, what does the anger mean? Right? Like, how do you like, where do you go with this? Like, what do you do with that feeling? Like, is the anger a product of, and really this is hopefully the question we've all come to ask ourselves, and 2025, like, is this anger like sadness? Is it grief? Like, are we like screaming our heads off in like celebration?
Yep.
Like the intensity like can be from other places than just an angry place, and it should be, and I think with the new record, it wasn't a decision to write about a certain thing. It's just, I think Biggie writes a lot about growth, and like where that growth, where the roots of that maybe are, and then what that growth can look like, and the journey,
Where the Flora, I audibly exclaim to myself, so perfectly arranged for someone else. These severed branches still grow leaves unmourned, so why does freedom feel so much like that?
How did the band get connected with Iodine?
We're lucky. I think pretty early on, I want to say like our second or our third show, we played with Drum's Dream. I'll say this often, but we're a fairly tenacious group of individuals, and we try really hard. And Biggie puts in like a tremendous amount of work into relationships. And yeah, like I said, our second or third show, we got an opportunity to open for Jerome's Dream, and yeah, like had a great show. Like it was really nice to meet them. Eric, their drummer, was kind enough to mention our name to the folks at Iodine. And at the same time, I have like an old design friend, Tom B, who is kind of part of the unofficial Iodine family, who's done a lot of design work for them over the years and is close friends with them. And Tom messaged me and was like, "Hey, I finally listened to your band. You guys are really good." I was like, "Oh, thanks. I'm flattered you listened," because like you probably have friends that are in bands, and
yeah,
it can be a scary prospect to listen to a friend's band, especially if you've never heard what that friend makes musically before.
Yeah.
So sometimes it feels easier just to leave that door closed. And yeah, Tom checked us out, and also I think got an Iodine's ear the same week Eric from JD did, and we were lucky enough that what we were doing resonated with them.
Oh. Yeah. It seems like a really good fit label of music. So
yeah, we agree. We're all very happy.
Yeah. Who came up with the concept? Was it your friend who did the album artwork for this record? Because it's a phenomenal picture.
Oh, the album artwork?
Yeah, the album artwork. Yeah.
No, it wasn't Tom. We're a pretty, like Viggy likes to say, we're a very yes and band. But we had this collection of songs, and we maybe even had like a date in the calendar to record the songs, and we're like, what? I do illustration and graphic design for a living. And we're like, what are we going to call this thing? Like, what, like, what do we name this? Like, what is the art? And, I think from there we kind of assess the lyrical content and try to zoom out a little bit and like think about what this collection of songs is about, and what it does. Simultaneously, like I remember like one dream a year, maybe two. And I had this incredibly graphic dream, and it messed me up. I woke up in the middle of the night and was like, this was too powerful to not like write down. And when I woke up in the morning, I was like looking at it, and like I felt like I was still wearing the like intensity of this dream when I woke up. And I told Viggy about it, which like I am like I don't really want to hear about your dreams person. Like that. There's a comedian that's like, that shit didn't make sense to you, it's not going to make sense to me. Please, yeah. We don't need to do this. And I told Viggy about it, and I think I was like really bummed out by this dream. And he's like, wow, that the way you're describing this reminds me of these feelings I had around, there was this really traumatic fire here a number of years ago in Oakland called the Ghost Ship Fire. A community space, music space that a lot of the Bay Area community celebrated, and a fair number of us lost friends in. And Viggy lost somebody very close to him in that fire. And so the artwork was kind of this like yes and. Like I told Viggy about this dream in which I like witnessed this like I was like a voyeur in this like very violent situation in which I couldn't do anything. and was just like forced to observe what was happening. And that resonated with Biggie, and from there the album artwork kind of started to take shape. Yeah, I'm really excited for folks to see it. I'm really excited that you got to see it. You know, I think in everything we do, we're really intentional, and we spend a lot of time thinking about things and even more time talking about those things. But we always try to leave some ambiguous nature.
Yeah.
Because it can be about a lot of things to us, but we want others to find their own meaning in it.
Yeah.
And if that meaning happens to be the same thing it is to us, like, cool, like we can talk about it. But if not, we love that it can be something else that's equally important and meaningful, you know, to someone else.
Yeah.
But yeah, the album artwork is really about being kind of like a voyeur in this world of yours, you know, like it's recognizing that this environment or this life we're living, you know, like we have this idea of who we are or how we exist in the world or who we are to our friends, you know, like how we think we're perceived to others and this role we play in that story. You know, so like that's like kind of this like narrative we all have about ourselves, that like we view ourselves as this thing, a product of our upbringing or our childhood or these events that have happened in our lives that shape us to be who we are. And also recognizing like at some point, like you don't have to be that you're in charge of that story.
Yeah.
And that's where you see this model on a table of like, you're a voyeur, but you're also creating this and you have some agency. And you have choice.
Yeah. It's like you've been listening to my conversations with my therapist. Resonated so hard.
See, I mean, it'd be easy to make a joke about that, but like, I would love to know what that, you know, like, I think that's the thing we want, you know, like we want to have that conversation.
Yeah.
And like, I want to hear about that from you. And like, you know, it can be easy to just like be like, oh, this is the thing that happened to me, or like I have to do this because of it's like who I am, or you know, and there's plenty of shit that's not in our control, you know, like most of our lives are not in our control, but there are these ways in which we are in control, and we do have choice, and it's those times we have choice, like what we do with.
Last night, I heard you sing aloud, invitation, in a language I don't speak, can't understand you me. I swore it was a poor invitation, but real as it could be. It could be naturally apparent.
Souvenir's out July 18th. I know the band, everybody's got, you know, jobs and lives. Like, what's your plan or hope for this year? Is it to try to tour, or just like try to play a handful of shows in the Bay Area? Yeah,
we do have some things in the works. We just played a festival in LA called Your Renaissance that we were really excited to play. I think that kind of like, even though the record's not out, I think that kind of like kicked off what this summer was going to be for us and how we were thinking about it. That was like the travel experience of a lifetime. But throughout the rest of summer and into the fall, we're playing New Friends in Canada. Super excited about that. Going to be our first opportunity playing out of the States. And then we're playing Fest in Florida, which is like another like hugely exciting opportunity, like not only for the band, but as like, you know, for us as individuals, like getting to see so many bands that mean so much to us. And we likely won't do any touring around the Canada dates, but we're hoping to set up some stuff on the East Coast. I'm sure that there's like countless DMs in our Instagram that Biggie is working on. I'm only brave enough to tread into the DM waters every now and then. But yeah, I think we have some plans to do some touring on the East Coast, and then like just having as full of a summer as we can. You know, we want to have a record release show here that we're working on. It is hard because like we are, you know, adults with full-time jobs and families, and also like we play this music that we want to play out as much as humanly possible while still like also being present for the other things in our lives. But yeah, like we're going to be out as much as we can. I think with what we do, we just hope to connect with somebody, and that if in some way this like connects with you or your band, let us know. Like be in touch. Like we love getting to talk with people about our music, your music, your art. And I think like as part of our kind of like DIY ethic in our upbringing, like we want to know what people are doing, and like to feel like they're also a part of, you know, like without people listening to the music we're putting out there, like it would be very fulfilling to make, but everybody has like a real role to play on all this. No matter how small I think some folks make it out to be. We hope to share this with you. And if you feel inspired to hit us up, like please do.
That legendary call!